Timer's running. Okay. So let's knit.
Let's knit.
Knit. Knit. Purl 3 times. And time.
Nice.
Nice.
For the buzzwords or the keywords, I could imagine that we think one more what it means for me.
Yeah.
What is knitting and dance?
Yeah.
Like, because loop makes a thing.
Yeah.
But also now we had the moment when you said like purl 3 times.
Yeah.
That I was also into a loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow in the movement. So maybe
it doesn't make sense to have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean purl would be even more interesting because a loop you know what it means.
Yeah, and then the purl is more code.
Yeah, and the other thing, it really becomes then also more a code between each other that I know what purl means. Yeah. And then maybe we can look at this also for knit. What does it mean? Is it a change? Is it a specific pattern? Is this, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see what it could be.
I think for me, when I was researching biometric technologies, what became very apparent is that people that develop them are often not body experts and are often not the ones, or like are sometimes the ones who are then also tracked afterwards, but often not. And I felt like there was really this disconnect in those people and bodies whose data is being collected and their way of working and moving, and then the developers of these technologies, and often users were super disempowered. They had no say in what kind of data interests them, or what kind of fits their movement patterns, or their kind of ways of engaging with this technology. But other people were making decisions from the outside, and these decisions really affect kind of the bodies of the users or of the movers directly. So I was really interested in trying to develop a project that really took the person whose data is being connected, which at the end is both of our data often, but often also mainly yours, into account, and try to make this kind of developing these sensors, try to make working with biometric data a more inclusive process somehow. I think that was my starting point. And these were the ones where we started making the sensors ourselves. These ones are the sweat sensors. And there's more of them because we made a lot. And then these are the stretch ones. Yeah, there's different. These are also knitted. We made them all with these aux plugs so that we can always plug them in. But so here it was kind of the idea that when you breathe, also your chest kind of expands and contracts. So you could also measure breathing. We did it with the microphone once, but you could also do something similar by just kind of measuring here.
In the beginning, it was really like what I meant when I said before there was really a hierarchy. So I could really feel it, and it was sometimes really depressing in our first phase, like really standing there and figuring out also what sensors can work, because also there it was from the beginning clear that these sensors are not made for moving bodies. I mean, like we started, I don't know, with microphones to use audio data. And already there we figured out, okay, as soon as I start moving more, you hear the clothes, you hear a lot of surround noises, and it's not so easy anymore to really say this is biometric data and this is just surrounding.
This actually is quite a functional a sweat sensor that is super compatible with movement and wearing, because we could literally just tape it on the body or then like put it in place. At the end we made these harnesses, and I really like that all of this kind of searching for technology that's compatible with the body brought us back to the textiles.
Okay.
Here we go. Somewhere the knitting machine should be visible here, but I don't really see. We can put the mic on there. Yeah, so here we should be picking up the sound of the knitting machine with the contact mic, and then we can see it in the pattern. So the way it works is that, right, it's capturing the live sound from the two mics that are attached now. So this is like a timeline, let's say, and then all the needle positions correspond to how loud it was in that time. So this is always the knitting machine. The white part is always the carriage moving, so that's very loud, and then the black part is kind of the space I wait in between. Integrating the knitting machine was a decision that changed a lot, or made a lot of things clear, because I've been interested for longer in kind of visualizing data in textile materials, because there's this whole backstory of these textile images, because they're made up of stitches or these kind of crossing of threads in weaving, but in knitting, which is what we're working about, it's these stitches, so they're like the original pixel. So textile images have always been digital from when they started existing. So I think it's a really interesting medium to bring digital data back also into kind of a digital but haptic kind of physical translation.
There I see, for me, the artistic process of working with data starts.
Yeah,
because
sure.
It's not just about presenting something like how it is, or pretending to present something like how it is. This is always a decision, and to put in form, which also brings more or points more out that even if you're just collecting data, the decision how you present it later in knitting or in Excel sheets is a decision by another person.
In working with biometric data performatively, it was always looking at how can we have like a feedback loop that goes from the person and the body that's kind of being captured or being kind of read and analyzed to this kind of station of converting it into biometric data, visualizing it, but then also how does the tracking process itself, but then also the visualization influence again the body that it all kind of started with. And the knitting machine gives us a lot of kind of elements to play with there, because we have like a very strong sound of the machine, which is very rhythmic, or which can be very rhythmic if you're really tracking kind of continuously. And like is very powerful. So I think it's a really good, just kind of element to show that even the tracking itself, just reading the data, looking at the data already influences kind of the whole situation, the whole tracking situation. But then also we're left with a kind of haptic knitted representation that the body can react to again, and that can again be used, and we can look at the pattern, but also the fabric itself can become material again. For me, I also really love this as like from a data level.
Yes.
No? Because this is a representation of the body, and then you're animating it in some way.
Yeah.
And that's why the representation is special, because it can kind of also be that for you.
Yeah.
I also like this thing of using the machine really to make sound somehow.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we always use it as a kind of data recording tool, but it can also kind of performatively, I think it works quite well. Yeah,
it's beautiful. Also, the
yeah.
Usually it is not so much discussed when it's a project with digital art and a performer, because it stays more separated mostly. But here we really, we're forced to bring it together, and because you couldn't hide if we want to use the knitting machine.
And I wanted to. As a digital artist, I wanted to be behind my screen.
No hiding anymore.
But I liked it because it also brought it back to this kind of invisible textile work again. Like, okay, you have the person behind the technology, then the technology is super visible and the human aspect disappears. In textiles, the dynamics are a little bit different, but you also have a lot of this kind of invisible work that's in it, where then you just have the end result and it's like, ta-da, but like all the hours that went into it and also the human influence are gone suddenly. But it was a challenge not to hide.
Yeah. And I think performatively it was also a challenge, like we spoke before about the repetition, to really think of, okay, how do I have to change my way of movement to really fit into this system, and really finding the moment where we can work together. Because usually, yeah, for sure, you have this pressure of, oh, now I need to do something impressive that the audience doesn't get bored or something like this. So you don't stay into something for really long, but also asking yourself, okay, what can it be, or how we can use all these moments where, or also rehearsing moments where you can really see the work and how long can we do things, and to really make visible that there is a lot of work which usually is not seen, also on stage or in everything, like in art there is so much invisible work.